722, it's Ed Dean, Roger Henderson, Florida Senator Rick Scott. Please take it as a compliment. I mean that as a compliment. I'm not trying to patronize you. I just tell it the way it is. So anyways, the senator came in with his entourage. So anyway, I love it.
Security detail.
Yes, yeah, they look like security detail. They are. So anyway, Florida Senator Rick Scott is in the studios with us. We go back, go back to 2010. Good to see you, man.
Back to 2010 when no one would talk to me. I remember I went to my first Republican Party event where nobody would sit at my table.
Where was it? Where was that at?
Well, my first event actually was a Young Republican event, which was really interesting over in Tampa.
Right.
Mm-hmm. My second one was an event here in Jacksonville, and my wife was with me. It was the only person who would sit at my table. There were people standing in the back of the room.
Way.
Well, it was a primary, and they all were supporting my opponent.
Did they not recognize you, or they just were supporting the other guy?
No, he was brand new.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
let me tell you something. I have a great memory. You know why you don't forget nothing? Because I never smoked weed. I don't. For men, men forget everything. I don't forget nothing.
Right.
He announced in August of 2010. Okay, I can tell you he was in the race. I don't even, Paul the Doctor and the rest of these guys. And people are like, really? Who is this guy jumping in the race? The business guy. And I'm not saying this to patronize you. This is my friends will tell you this story. You don't have to affirm because I know it's true. I've told this before. I've said it with you on the air. You're a business guy. I've had people. Now we're heard down the Naples markets. I had guys tell me that you walked into a room with other business people in Naples, and they didn't know. And after about 30, 40 minutes, my friends who were there, who worked for these wealthy millionaires, going, I'm not making this up. The set back then, the candidate, he goes, then candidate Scott owned the room. He says he didn't come in to act like he was the top dog. I mean, your demeanor's very humble, very laid back. And he said he walked in and said within 40, 45 minutes, he says they're all on board. I went, really? I need to cover this guy. And you beat a guy who, and you beat a guy who was a well-known establishment Republican who had won, and it was just a great time, and you were great for the economy of Florida.
Well, we said we'd get 700,000 jobs over 7 years.
That's right.
And we got, not government, private companies got 1.7 million jobs over 8 years.
We're getting people off the Citizens Insurance, too. I was covering that.
We went from 1.5 million people on to 400-some thousand. Now it's back up to almost the same number.
You made college affordable?
It's completely unfunded.
Yeah.
If you have Citizens, you're going to get assessed if there's any disaster. Right. And people, they're not telling people.
Now, the other thing he's successful at that I wish would get a lot more...
You made college affordable by turning all the community colleges in the states...
Look at property insurance. It's doubled in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Look at what we've done. Groceries are up, hurts poor families.
Okay.
Property taxes are up, hurts poor families. Property insurance rates hurt poor families. You look at car prices, used car prices. You look at the interest rate and rent, everything.
Meats are back up again.
Yeah. So I mean, when they're going to put out PPI numbers today, and they'll say, "Oh, it's all better." No, go to the grocery store. It's not better.
I know. By the way, one of your other successes as governor, which we have to talk about, Roger pointed out, was the colleges.
Yeah, you have young.
That was fun.
You have a young person going to college.
So when I got elected, they were raising tuition 15% plus inflation every year. So I said, "Look, I'm a poor kid. I grew up in public housing. You know what it cost me? It cost me $200 a semester to go to junior college, $255 to go to university. I could take 21 hours." I said, this has got to stop. So we stopped all the tuition increases. Right. And by the time I left, number one in higher education, lowest tuition in the country.
But the 4-year schools is what he was getting at.
We also had 4-year, $10,000 degrees. And people got out in 4 years. When I started, nobody was graduating in 4 years because the schools, they didn't care. So
I know.
So we became number one in higher education. But think about it. This is supposed to be for the people that need help. I mean, there's plenty. If you're rich, you can go to any school you want to. It's the poor that we got to help.
Yeah, when I covered you, I love the vetoes that you put into place and the Citizens Insurance. You came from you had to do your own hurricane recovery after the Crist administration, which I covered. Oh boy, and where he campaigned in 2006 about even eliminating, getting rid of property insurance, Citizens Insurance, and doing something about it, and the numbers just jacked. Right. Underneath, you had to come in and clean up that mess. What advice do you tell people? Because I know I get it. There's a lot of legal reform that needs to be done. I know you've also been involved in that as well. But, you get the average guy who says, hey, listen, I live in the middle of nowhere. I haven't filed a claim. My property's... what do you mean I'm blaming a trial lawyer? You were so successful with Citizens Insurance. What kind of advice do you give to people, or what do you recommend that, hey, this is how we turn things around?
So the first thing you have to do is go recruit more companies. We need more insurance companies in the state. Number two is talk to all the insurance companies. Say, why is it going up? And then you, as a homeowner, talk to your insurance company. Say, what can I do to drive down the cost? So we've got to be doing all those things, but because it's gotten way too expensive for property insurance. We've got to do everything we can to drive down the cost of living, not increase the cost of living.
I'm with you, man. We could spend the whole half hour just talking about this. We need a whole hour. Florida Senator Rick.
It's a big problem.
I know. Florida Senator Rick Scott is here in the studios with us. I know we're going to talk a lot. You've been traveling around the state on keeping kids safe, and we'll get into some of that coming up here in just a few minutes. Are you guys okay? Do you want a water or coffee? You want espresso? Okay, just making sure. So anyway, we'll get into some of that stuff.
Mr. Nice Guy. He offers me coffee too, guys, by the way.
Yeah, that's second-rate coffee. So anyway, hey, before we get back to this, I got to take a break here just to remind you that, of course, I have my coffee every day. I drink my gallon of water. Everything else, we get it through our Connecticut K5 drinking water system through cgcwater.com. So they got a big special going on throughout the summertime. So they got the Premier Series softener, which is good for your overall appliances. No more of that itchy, skin dry feeling you get when you get done washing your clothes. Better than that city water stuff out there. So our friends at cgcwater.com say they have the Connecticut Premier Series softener and the K5 drinking water system. Let's give you a great special. If you get the Premier Series softener, they'll give you 50% off the Connecticut K5 drinking water system. 904-414-4544. 904-414-4544. Online, and man, I get the testimonials. People have them at their church, their school, everything else. Go online. That's where we got ours at cgcwater.com. That's cgcwater.com. Coming up next, you're going to hang out with us for the remaining of the hour. Let's talk about big tech. That's a big issue. Let's talk about the School Guardian Act. And some of these districts still haven't employed the bill that you passed 25 years ago. 2018. Oh. I think we could probably guess where some of those districts are at. Anyway, so we can play stereotype. And got a whole host of other issues and what's going on. He was my guy over Mitch McConnell, but I don't have to keep talking about that. So anyway, we'll talk more about this on the other side. Email address, ed@wbob.com. That's ed@wbob.com.
AM 600 WBOB Jacksonville, 101.1 FM W266CX Fruit Cove, WBOB.
SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. The death toll from Hawaii's Lahaina fire has risen sharply. Maui County officials report the blaze has claimed at least 36 lives. A man who allegedly had threatened President Biden's life has been shot and killed as FBI agents tried to serve a warrant at the man's home in Provo, Utah. 5 people have been killed in a crash. It happened last night along Interstate 81 near Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. Shocking new allegations regarding the Biden family's overseas business affairs. House Oversight Committee Chairman Republican James Comer releasing a new memo detailing some of the Biden family's foreign business dealings. And Michael Lorenzen threw the 14th no-hitter of Phillies history last night as Philadelphia shut out the Washington Nationals 7-zip. Dow futures up 184. More details, srnnews.com.
By now, you know CGC Water and Plumbing is offering a great deal on their Connecticut K5 drinking water system and Connecticut Premier Series softener. 50% off a drinking water system when you purchase the softener. There are so many people just like you taking advantage of this great deal, so they're extending it. If you've been considering upgrading your home's water, now's the time. Not only will you drink clean, purified water, but your clothes will look better and your skin will feel hydrated with the Premier Series softener. This pair is a top-of-the-line solution for water purifying and water conditioning. Don't miss this deal. 50% off the purchase of a Connecticut K5 drinking water system when you purchase a Connecticut Premier Series softener. Visit cgcwater.com today. That's cgcwater.com.
CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars and authorized independent Connecticut dealer. License number CFC 1428211.
Crack or chipped windshield? Need glass replaced at your home or business? Nobody beats the Baker boys at Baker Glass and Mirror. That's because nobody treats you better than Baker Glass and Mirror. Don't wait till you get pulled over for that broken windshield. Baker Glass and Mirror will take care of it fast. Plus, they have all your glass and mirror needs. The Baker boys treat you the best. Baker Glass and Mirror.
Mike Lester is the founder of Talon Wealth. I can't believe how much attention Talon's advertising has been receiving.
All I said was I wouldn't sell my mother an annuity, and nobody should sell you an annuity either. So here's the thing. I was a very successful annuity salesperson back in the day, but I evolved as a financial advisor, as a fiduciary. I just don't know how, as a fiduciary, you can promote products that pay you a commission before your clients make a dime. So all of you out there pushing and selling annuities to your clients, explain to them who's paying for your radio advertisements, who's producing your radio show. After you answer those questions, then explain to me why I wouldn't sell my mother an annuity. That's all there is to it.
Mike, you pay for all of our advertising. I produce our radio stuff, and I work for Talon Wealth.
That's right, Christian. We don't have to sell annuities to provide income to people in retirement.
More at guardingyournestegg.com.
Advisory services through Talon Private Wealth and SEC registered investment advisor. Florida license D056341.
Where are the tie-ups to avoid WBOB traffic?
Stop and go traffic northbound on 295. There's an accident right at Blanding Boulevard that has the left lane blocked, and traffic is starting to back up right now. It'll take you about 7 extra minutes to drive through. Keep an eye out, and if there's anything else you see, give us a call. That's 901-7233.
Stay cool and hydrated. It's going to be hot today. The high around 99. This evening, partly cloudy with a low of 80. Right now, it's 82 degrees.
You're listening to the Ed Dean Radio Show. Mike Gallagher is coming up next at 9. Then Clay and Buck at noon on WBOB.
Don't forget the email address at WBOB.com. Ed at WBOB.com. Thousands of you have downloaded the app. If I gave you a number, you would be like, dadgum. That's right. I should be charging all of you, but we don't. Anyway, so the many of you, thousands have downloaded the app. Go to WBOB.com. WBOB.com. If not there, the app and or the Google Store. We don't charge you anything. It's no cost. I'm Scottish. You know us. We love free stuff. We love a good deal. So anyway, go to WBOB.com. We also have the shout-out line that when you open up the app, you can scroll down, you see the microphone, tell us what you think of some of the issues, and got about 30 seconds, and then just hit the arrow when it comes to us. Again, all of this at WBOB.com. Mike Gallagher's up next. Clay Travis and Buck Sexton and Levin later on tonight and all the other stuff. Again, that's the WBOB app. Ed Dean, Roger Henderson in the studios with us. I've covered him for years. And by the way, I got to get Roger in here because I want to brag about something here. Florida Senator Rick Scott is in the studios.
You going to brag about Roger?
No, well, Roger had brought this up many times, and this is one of these where it's a big issue. It may not be the biggest when you talk to individuals, but when you bring it up, remember Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico when he was the governor? Explain that to the audience.
Yeah, you rolled up your sleeves and you basically became a second governor for the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, helping them. Many of those the people there who are U.S. citizens came up to Florida, and you allowed people in Puerto Rico who had professional licenses, whether they're plumbers or...
Hold on, keep going.
Whether they're plumbers, whether they're electricians, whether whatever professional licensing that their vocation required, you allowed the state of Florida to recognize that, and it helped them, in basically getting on their feet again after all the problems they suffered.
Well, first off, these are American citizens. It was horrible what happened to them, and so what I did was I made sure if you're a school teacher, you could come here and teach. If you everything I could do to allow them to come here. We opened up 2 relief centers, one at the Miami airport, one at the Orlando airport.
Okay.
We brought in all the state and not-for-profits and said, you need housing, let us help you with that. You need your kids in school, let's help you with that.
Right.
All these things because it was good for them.
And even the families that stayed there, they could do the Florida Virtual Academy online from Puerto Rico.
I forgot that. Yeah, so what we did was, and I've been working with another group, actually over in Poland, to try to... I was over in Poland after the Ukraine invasion by Russia,
right? And
so there's a group of online company, and we're helping the Polish kids get online education.
Right.
So you got to, when people have a problem, let's show up.
Yeah, I had to do a lot of education because a lot of people didn't realize up until Hurricane Maria that Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens. I mean, their National Guard gets called up to Afghanistan along with the Florida National Guard, and
they've got a good National Guard.
Yeah,
and they. In their military, they fight in our military. They've got great military leaders there. So I'm going to keep doing everything I can to help people on the island, Puerto Rico. But I think when you look at the numbers, something like 150,000 Puerto Ricans moved here after Maria because they could get a job.
Right.
It was a good time to come here, and you feel sorry for the families that want to stay there because it's been hard.
Same for the U.S. Virgin Islands, too, a U.S. territory.
Yep.
You're like us. You're one of the, and I could probably sit here and have fun with you by saying, hey, out of all of the people you have to deal with I mean, it's amazing you got to deal with the liberal left, but you got to deal with people in our own party that, you just want to pass common sense measures. Of course, we cover a lot of your stuff at floridadaily.com. You're on board. You're not an amnesty guy, but one of the things that has to be talked with illegal immigration, we talk about this all the time. Human trafficking is a big thing, and yet media never talks about it. And I'm like, man, and you're on board, and I know that you've helped push legislation. For example, you wanted to have one of the bills stop the human trafficking of unaccompanied migrant children there. This is a big issue with the border. Yeah, I know I've covered you. We played the clips. You got Mayorkas coming in. Mayorkas' response is, Senator, I'll get back with you. And you're not even going after like Ted Cruz and some of these other. You have a tone that sits back and says, what about this? It's Senator Scott, I'll get back with you. I'm like, well, listen, I've had you come up for the last 3 years. How many more times do you have to get back with me?
So look, I mean, the border is completely open.
Right.
All right. So now let's think about that. So we've got terrorists are coming across. We know it.
Right.
All right. About 40% of the people are not being caught. We know that.
Right.
We got criminals coming across. Now we got wonderful people that want to live our dream. We ought to have a way for them to come here legally. But here's what's really bad. 70,000 people are dying of fentanyl coming across our border. Thanks to, the precursors are made in China. The cartel's bringing it over here. 70,000 people we know are dying. Kids are dying.
Overdoses.
And then we got 85,000 migrant kids. Oh, Mayorkas doesn't have any idea where they are. He's lost them. Completely lost. 85,000.
On purpose, probably.
Yeah. I mean, you can. I mean, like, I asked him, I said, doesn't this bother you? 70,000 people dying. We got Border Patrol agents that died trying to save some. They tried to save some migrants that were bringing illegal drugs here. I said, doesn't this stuff bother you?
We've heard people say that this, not you, but sometimes it's almost like the game. It's great for campaigning, Republicans, Democrats. Democrats, of course, want to get it over. It's a new class of votes. Republicans, the Chamber of Commerce. What's the point of trying to at least fix something? I know that you've said this before. Listen, we don't have time to do a one big size fits all. Incrementally do something. You said border security. Even that alone seems just to become a mountain of objections you can't get done.
How does border security become a political issue? Who doesn't want to stop terrorists and criminals from coming here? Who doesn't? I like legal immigration. We have a lot of it in Florida. We're an immigration state. It's got to be legal. So, but anything, I tried to fix the temporary protective status when I got up to the Senate, Democrats blocked it. We have a lot of Haitians here that are here as a result of the hurricane earthquake in 2009, I think it was.
Right.
So we have to fix this stuff. There's no focus on fixing these things. It starts with a secure border, and they don't even want to have a conversation about it.
Florida Senator Rick Scott here is in the studios with us. The School Guardian Act provides federal funding to support hiring and placement of more armed law enforcement officers. You have been a big proponent of this. We covered this bill in 2018 after Parkland of putting more. Again, you left the choices, which is fine. You said, hey, but we'd like to have more security. You guys figured out cops, former cops here at these schools. Let me focus on the state issue. And we find out 4 to 5 years later, a boatload of these school districts still haven't even complied with some of this. I'm astonished by that.
Well, first off, it's the law.
All right.
There's supposed to be a trained law enforcement officer or a guardian in every school, right, when they're open. But what I try to do is try to have it all directed through the sheriff's department. But the legislature said no, we're going to leave it in the school district. But some of these school districts, I don't get why they don't have them there. So we have, as part of that bill, we had a person at the Department of Education that their responsibility was to tell us and keep us informed if it wasn't happening. Damian Kelly was the first one there, and that's what Damian worked on all the time, make sure they complied. So we had mental health counselors. We did risk assessment tests. We did active shooter drills. We made sure they're trained law enforcement. So we did all these things to keep our schools safe. Think about this. Our kids and our grandkids, what's more important to us? Nothing. So now I have a bill. Hey, do you want some more IRS agents? Anybody want that? No. Okay, so the Democrats funded 87,000 more IRS agents. Let's get rid of them. If you take that money, we can put a trained law enforcement in every school, public and private school in the country.
You said something a few moments ago, because you have a ton very few counties are left of the Sheriff's Association. Big fans of the show. We do business with them. The sheriffs have just endorsed you. When you looked at this, I understand you give the control to the school board. I get that, but I understand you want to go through the sheriffs because at least they would be the most knowledgeable.
Somebody's got to be responsible, right? So what's the sheriff's primary job? Keep everybody safe.
Serve and protect.
Pretty simple. Keep us all safe. We all want to be safe. So I was blessed in my campaign. I got 59 of the 66 sheriffs to endorse me the other day.
Right.
Because guess what? We want to be safe. And I tell everybody, probably one of the most important, if not the most important elected official in a county is the sheriff. If you want to know what's going on in a county, get to know the sheriff. And all of our hurricanes we had, the sheriffs are the key to getting recovery done. So it was a real honor to get their support, but I'm gonna keep working to help our law enforcement because I want somebody to show up if something bad happens at my house. We all do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give me. I love that we did a big story at FloridaDaily.com. Probably around February, March of this year. And I like it. You said, "Hey, listen, man. Unfortunately, we put people on during COVID that weren't even needed to be on state-run Medicaid and welfare. They weren't eligible. Knowledge they were making, but we did it anyway. And now you sit back and said, and you're exactly correct. Hey, guys, you're coming off of the system here. I mean, if the jobs are out there, if you're going to, let's have some work requirements." Which was supported by Clinton until Obama got in and got rid of it. Very simplistic, but no, can't have that, Senator.
So think about it. We have I think it's 100 million people working age in this country not working, right? That makes no sense.
Are they really not working, or they were working kind of under the dark economy? Maybe have a landscaping business that they're not really paying taxes on, that kind of thing.
Yeah, who knows?
Because people have to.
But we're talking about work requirements.
But Roger, they shouldn't live in public housing if you don't want to work.
Right.
I lived in public housing. You shouldn't live there if you're able-bodied and you don't want to work. Maybe if you have young kids, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right. All elderly parents are taken care of. But if you're able-bodied, don't have these dependents, go to work. You shouldn't be on Medicaid. You shouldn't be on food stamps. You shouldn't be on unemployment. Get your butt to work. My mom told me, and I grew up very poor. She said, "You will never ever go on welfare. We are not going on welfare. We'll figure this out."
Yeah.
You know the crappiest job I had?
What's that?
Clean a telephone booth.
Really?
Oh, God, they were horrible. It was worse than the latrines in the Navy.
What's a telephone booth? The kids ask.
I know. Now we know.
Yeah, well,
they're filthy, let me tell you.
I had to change into the telephone booth to become Superman.
And I like what you're saying there, but that punishes the kids because they have irresponsible parents, though. That's the thing.
Right. Let me finish all this coming up here in a few moments. All right, Senator Rick Scott here. Ed Dean, Roger Henderson. By the way, what do you mean clean a telephone booth?
I had every type of job there was.
Get out the bleach and everything.
They're filthy.
All right, I've got a couple of questions.
Go ahead, man.
Ed and I butt heads.
I got a whopping $5 for that, by the way.
Ed and I butt heads all the time about fiscal responsibility of those who work in the two chambers of Congress, and will they ever just have the discipline to not blow the budget? I mean, $32 trillion, I think it is right now. I think you will. I think Rand Paul. The rest of them, I don't think so.
Oh, there's 6 of us.
Okay.
There's Rand Paul.
Okay.
There's Ted Cruz. There's Mike Lee, Ron Johnson, Mike Braun. 6 out of 100 in the Senate.
All right. Do you believe that there should be some type of statutory requirement?
Absolutely.
That forces our elected officials to stay within a budget as opposed to just hoping they will?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to. So far, we've not been able to do it otherwise. Mm-hmm. And we need to stop raising the debt ceiling. When I became governor of Florida, Florida had not lived within its budget for 20 years. Did you realize that?
Yeah.
They'd increased their debt $1 billion every year. We were going to default on our school debt when I got elected. So we balanced the budget every year. How hard was that? You do it every day. We all say, "Oh, this is how much money I make. This is what I can spend."
You created the emergency reserve fund then, am I right?
Oh, absolutely. We put money away, and we paid off 1/3 of the state debt.
Why can't we do that in Washington?
Because everybody up there just wants to spend your money. So there's 6 of us in the Senate. It's part of the reason I ran against Mitch McConnell. I mean, because under Mitch's watch and Chuck Schumer's watch, the debt's gone from $5 trillion to $32 trillion. I thought $5 trillion was too much. Right? Why do we have any federal debt? I mean, it makes no sense.
No.
I mean, we all try to get out of debt.
With the hope that sometimes they'll just, tax Jeff Bezos into oblivion and that'll pay everything off. That seems to be the mentality.
They don't have enough money. It's trillion. Yeah. $32 trillion. What's the richest guy? What's he worth? $200 billion? So it's $32 trillion. You can't tax people enough. And by the way, think about this. Here's the numbers that will surprise you. Since 2019, pre-COVID, the population increase has been 1.9%. You know how much the Biden budget is up? 55%. 55%.
You're a business guy. By the way, Florida Senator Rick Scott is here in the studios with us. Dean Roger Henderson. I know I got it for you a few more minutes. We're doing good on time. I love these economic numbers come out. For years when I covered you, I was an economics reporter, and it was interesting because the June jobs report that we reported in July, the majority of jobs created was the government sector. Then we find out that the second quarter GDP numbers that came out, where the government sector is spending more than consumer spending. I'm sure that's a lot of with the infrastructure bill. Factory orders come out last week. If you take out transportation, which is mostly government spending, we're pretty much flatline out there. And then we find out that the July jobs report that we just came out, now we just reported that one of the other biggest factors was social assistance, which is government funding of all this. You're a business guy, and I'm sitting here going, man, if we got to continue to prop up the economy with government spending, we're pretty much flatlined out there. Where do you see the economy going here in the next several months?
Oh, I'm concerned. So first off, GDP is growing in slower than our debt.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So we're going backwards.
We are big time.
Yeah.
I mean, so who's going to pay for this? So look at. Have you bought a house lately? Over 7% mortgage rates.
Yeah.
It's caused because of government spending. You look at if you bought a car, it's over 10% for your interest rate on the new car payment. Over 20% for a credit card debt, interest on credit card debt. So this is all caused by government spending. So I mean, I see no way that interest rates are going down. And by the way, the Federal Reserve has done a horrible job. They built a $9 trillion balance sheet to keep long-term interest rates down, so Biden could get so Jay Powell would get Biden to reappoint him. But it caused a misallocation of capital, and so again, it's going to cause massive increases.
Do you ever sit back? Because what happens, we have a research staff. We get all these clips we play on the show. And when you have Yellen come in front of you, or as you say, Jay Powell comes in, and you keep a tone which is just, hey, it's reasonable. You ask the questions. And I'm sitting here, and every time when your time is done, I tell Roger, I'm looking for the senator just to shake his head like, what in the world is going on here? But I never see. I know you want to do that.
Yeah, like the John Luke Picard face plant. You guys look a little alike, by the way.
Yeah, you look at it. So the other day, I'm at the budget meeting. Now we don't do budgets, but I'm on budget. Okay. So the Democrats control the committee, so they want to talk about Social Security. So it was my turn. I said they had 4 Democrats and 1 Republican, and I said, hey, by the way, tell me what Biden's plan under he put out his budget.
We saw that. Yes,
for Social Security.
It on the air.
So what's his plan? You all looked at each other. Well, he doesn't have a plan. No, don't tell me. Joe Biden, who says he's so concerned about Social Security, has no plan? I said, did he put any money in the budget? And he said, well, I read the whole thing. There's nothing in there for it. I said, okay, so it's a $2 trillion increase. And what would it cost to fix Social Security just for this year?
Would you listen?
You're crazy.
We've done it. And to me, it's so overblown. If like people don't read all the bills, they hear a certain talking point. Would you please explain to the audience? We've done it in your own words. Hey, Senator Rick Scott's out there talking about cutting this. I'm like, no. I said even on a lot of provisions at the end of 5 years, let's look at how things could be enhanced. Right. That's all you said.
And by the way, I put in there. I said, shouldn't Congress tell you how they're going to fix Medicare and Social Security since it's going bankrupt? Both of them are. Maybe they ought to do it. That's part of my plan. You can go to rescueamerica.com.
Right.
Then I said, if we pass a bill, maybe we ought to review it every 5 years.
Well, Biden actually came out in the Senate and said we need to freeze it all.
Is doing a private investment account hybrid a pipe dream at this point?
Here's what. First off, the American public's scared to death about their retirement. At some point, you would think the people that are running are going to say, maybe we ought to deal with inflation or retirement benefits or medical bills. Right now, I can't find a Democrat to talk about it. So, at some point we will. I believe that we've got to give people more options to create their own retirement. But don't rely. First off, the federal government retirement, they're not pre-funded. You realize that they're not sitting with a whole bunch of cash in the bank.
Right. Yeah.
So that should scare you.
Have I taken, I've been working since I was 16. If I'd taken the same amount of money I put in Social Security, I'd be a millionaire at this point, probably.
Right. And you would have gotten a better return because you probably wouldn't have sat in Treasury bonds.
Yeah.
Yeah. 20 years ago when then Bush brought it up, and it was a popular issue, but now I think if you brought it up, it can become more of hey, let's get the conversation going, which would be a popular issue, but
I think what you have to do is the first thing you have to explain to people, we got a problem.
Yeah.
When people act like, oh, no, it's all fine. No, it's not fine. Social Security goes bankrupt in, 12 years? You're going to have an automatic 20% cut. Medicare goes bankrupt in 6 or 7 years. So it's crazy.
If I don't ask, I'll get hate mails from followers. So I got a couple minutes left. We cover the whole Hunter Biden thing. It's not like we cover the whole hour. Most people, it's this what it is. They know the Senate, the House is talking about impeachment inquiries. They got more. I mean, then the VP was sitting at the table with these guys after he claimed he didn't know about it. Mm-hmm. Where do you see this? Where do you see the next page
I think
turning here?
I think Jim Jordan's going to do a good job over there.
Right.
By the way, everything that's coming out, we knew in the Senate. Okay? I was on the committee that knew it, but we couldn't get all Republicans at the time to vote to do a subpoena.
Wow.
So all the stuff we knew back in 2019. And so, but Jim Jordan, James Comer, they're doing a good job putting it out. So, look, the public ought to just tell people, hey, Hunter, hey, Joe, why don't you tell us what you did? How much money did you make? Why'd you get it? Do you have a conflict? I mean, just be honest. Be transparent. Wasn't he supposed to be transparent?
I think I saw something. It was like $20 million he got from somebody. I don't know. It's like
or some oligarchs.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Can I? We can take a break, right?
We can take a break, and I have one more question, but yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, well,
he's got to get out in about 2 minutes.
All right. You serve the people of Florida. What can we do for you? What can the average voter do to support your mission for fiscal conservative responsibility and the other things you
Who wrote that question? Go ahead.
So, Rick,
you don't
Rick,
think it's a good
you go to rickscott.com.
Okay.
Okay, and you can, one, give me your ideas. 2, you can volunteer. I'm up for re-election next November.
Right.
And 3, you can donate.
Okay.
But the other thing is, be vocal with what you need. I've got 9 offices in the state. We won, not me. This team did. We have 9 offices. They won for the best constituent services team in the entire Senate and House last year.
Really?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we have a great team.
Listen, I know you got to go, and I'm waving them off. They're not waving me off. So anyway, Florida Senator Rick Scott in the studios, and just let us know. I know I don't give a flip about the last minutes. Just let us know. You come in anytime with us and things like that.
Yeah, we'll bump anybody.
Okay. See you, Roger.
Yeah, we did.
See you.
So anyway.
Bye, Roger. Bye.
All right.